Hello dear 11th graders, my name is Dr. Munca-Aftenev, and today in this video lesson we are going to talk about adverb clauses. I know that these clauses might be really challenging for some of you, mainly because they can be tricky and they refer to some very fine nuances of the meaning, which why I hope that the examples that we put together for you are going to help you better understand this type of clause and use them with more confidence. Are you ready? So, because we learn better things in general, including grammar, when they are placed in context, I decided to browse the latest edition of the Guinness World Book written for 2020 achievements in order to offer you more specific examples or where adverb clauses are used. For example, by the way, if we talk about kids and teenagers and young adults, there is a separate section of the Guinness World Book, especially made for kids, and it refers to amazing achievements whose authors are teenagers just like you or even younger students. For example, wherever Marcy Curran, a 17-year-old teenager from Texas, goes in visit, she always requires extra room for her legs. According to Guinness, she has the longest legs in the world. Her left leg is 135 centimeters long, while her right leg is 134 centimeters long. So the adverb clause in this example is wherever she goes and visit, she always requires extra room for her legs. So when do we use this particular type of clause? When we need to give more explanations on where, okay, in which situations or when does she need more room? Wherever she goes in visit. In order to acquire this title, Curran had to take the world record from Russia's Ekaterina Lishina. In 2017, Lishina had broken the Guinness record for being the tallest female professional model, with her legs measuring an unparalleled 132 centimeters in length. Her left and right leg measured 132 and 132.2 centimeters respectively. Another example of an adverb clause: in order to acquire the title, Curran had to take the world record from another winner, right? So this time we answered the question, how? How did she become the leader? By taking the title from another record breaker. Although Curran is from a family that is relatively tall, neither her parents nor siblings are as tall as she is. Her legs make up 60% of her total height. Curran said she wanted to inspire tall people around the world to accept and embrace their height. So, although she is from a family that is relatively tall, neither her parents nor her siblings are as tall as she is. Is another example of an adverb clause introduced by although, okay, which means not, different from, or even if. Even if everybody in the family is tall, she's still much taller. So an adverb clause is a group of words that function as an adverb in a sentence. They can modify and describe not just verbs, but also adverbs and adjectives. An adverb clause adds information that elaborates or, as I mentioned, answers questions when, where, why, how much, or under what condition the action in the sentence takes place. So under which condition she needs more room, right? She is tall, very tall, so she probably always needs more room, right? We answered the question in which condition or under what condition, right? When did she take the title? When she surpassed the other record breaker from Russia. Now that we opened the topic related to longest body parts, check out the owner of the world's longest fingernails from Texas, Ayana Williams. She has been growing her nails for over 20 years now, and she has a combined total length of 576.4 centimeters. The Texan uses 2 to 3 whole bottles of nail polish when giving herself a manicure, and it can take up to 20 hours. Wow, that's so long. So the adverb clause is, now that we opened the topic related to the longest body part, check out the owner of the world's longest fingernails. So this is another example of a clause that introduces a context. We talked about something previously and now we're moving on to another example, right? This adverb clause links the two sentences in a logical transition. Once you see this monster truck, you know why its creators Brad and Jen Campbell from USA are in the Guinness Book. The custom-made vehicle is 9.8 meters long, 3.6 meters tall, and weighs a hefty 6,800 kilograms, about the same as a bull elephant, and can fit 12 passengers. How awesome would it be to ride in this? So the adverb clause is, once you see this monster truck, you know why the creators are in the Guinness Book. So the answer is, when would you know? So under which condition would you know that these two owners, creators of the truck, are in the Guinness Book? Once you see the monster truck. As much as I love and we love honey, it's very challenging to imagine that there is a real man under this layer of bees. This is the record for the longest duration with head fully covered in bees. And the name of the record breaker is Nature MS from India, probably a nickname, more commonly known as Bee Man, who stayed with his head fully covered in bees for a staggering 4 hours, 10 minutes and 5 seconds on December 31st, 2017. Unbelievable. This record definitely isn't for everyone. So the adverb clause in our example is, as much as we love honey, it's very challenging to imagine there's a real man under this layer of bees, okay? So even though, okay, we love honey, it's very difficult to imagine that someone would stay for so long covered in bees, especially when they are on your face. So adverb clauses in English, as you have seen from all these Guinness Book examples, the adverb clauses are so different and they introduce ideas in different ways. And of course, they are connected or placed within larger sentences by the help of these connecting words or connectors. For example, adverb of condition, even if, only if, unless, in case. We also have adverb clauses of place, anywhere, or where, or everywhere, or wherever. You remember the example? Wherever she goes, she needs more place or more space for her legs. Adverb clauses of time, after, as soon as, before, by the time, once, since, till, until, when, while, whenever. Whenever we see big trucks, we think of the World Guinness Book. Adverb clauses of reason, as, because, now that, since. Since we talked about body parts, let's give another example. Adverb clauses of contrast, although, even though, whereas, while. I prefer tea, whereas my brother likes coffee, for example. So we have an example of contrast. And the last group of adverb clauses, adverbs of degree, comparison, then, as, so as, or the, right? As, so, as. This time, when we use this type of adverb clauses, we compare things and we offer more details related to the information in the whole sentence. Now, it's time to practice, and I hope that you are ready. I want you to trust your instinct because adverb clauses don't exactly follow very strict rules. They refer more to your capacity of understanding the whole context and the meaning of the sentence. Let's try it out. You like it or not, you have to go to bed now. Unless, because, whether, since. Which connecting word would you use in particular sentence? You like it or not, you have to go to bed now. The correct answer is whenever you like, whether you like it or not, you have to go to bed now. Whether means, in this particular case, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, you still have to go to bed. So you understand the meaning of this word and how it connects these two sentences. Like it or not, and you have to go to bed now, whether, okay? It doesn't matter, you like it or not. Another example, I hope you're ready. You run faster, you will miss the bus. Unless, whether, because, since. You run faster, you will miss the bus. Something will happen. So what we need here is a condition. How do we introduce a condition? Unless you run faster, you will miss the bus. So unless introduces a condition. If you don't run faster, you will miss the bus. Unless is another connecting word that introduces adverb clauses. Let's move on to the next example. She was in her late 70s. Nobody believed she could run in a marathon. Unless, whether, because, since. She was in her late 70s. Nobody believed she could run in a marathon. So again, we have two sentences, two facts that we need to connect. How do we connect them? Because she was in her late 70s, nobody believed she could run in a marathon. Okay. I have an important exam on Monday. I will not be able to attend your party on Sunday. Again, we have two separate ideas and we have to think how we can connect them with a logical connector. Unless, whether, because, since. You ready? Since I have an important exam on Monday, I will not be able to attend your party. This time, we offer an explanation. Why I will not be able to attend your party? It's because I have an important exam. Or, the word in our specific situation is since, or as I have an important exam on Monday, I will not be able to attend the party. Since and as both could be used here to connect in order to give explanations. So, how do we use adverb clauses correctly when we speak English? There are three things that I would like to suggest. First of all, as I mentioned, there are no strict rules related to adverb clause. That's why they might be tricky or challenging, which is why in order to use the correct connector, you have to understand the whole idea and you have to focus on meaning and context. Why do we say what we say? What arguments do we need to bring? Do we need to explain why? Or do we need to contrast something? Do we need to explain what are the conditions? Or do we give more details about the location or time? So if you're going to understand the meaning, you will definitely find the right connector. Know your connecting adverbs. You have to know when we use though, although, since, as soon as, whereas, and all the other connecting words that we mentioned earlier. If you know all these words very well, it's going to be easier for you to place them in the right place in the sentence. And of course, practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the more complex sentences you read in English, the easier it's going to be for you to create your own context, your own phrases that introduce and use adverb clauses. For example, pay attention to very specific nuances. Since we're talking about adverbs, you're familiar with being in time and being on time. And many people might say that there is no difference, but in fact there is a small nuanced difference between these two. You arrive just in time for lunch, and if you don't come to work on time, you'll be fired. So in time means exactly in time, like if it's 5 p.m., you arrive at 5 p.m. But if you need to come a bit earlier to have enough time to get prepared, for example, in the second sentence, when we talk about coming to work, on time means a bit earlier so that you prepare and you start working, for example, at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning. So as you can see, in these two sentences, there is a small difference in meaning and you have to feel it. And only if you feel it, you will be able to use the right adverb connector. Because of and because. The difference is technical. After because of, we need a noun. Because of the rain, we stayed home. Because of Jack, we missed the bus. So because of, we need a noun. If we only have because, then we need the subject and the verb. That is the difference. Because it rained. Because Jack was late. Right? So again, another example of tricky words. So this of that is placed after because makes the whole difference. It's whether we need a noun or we need a verb or action or a full sentence to follow it. Hard and hardly. Again, we're talking about adjectives and adverbs. So hard is an adjective with various meanings. Yesterday's exam was very hard. It's an adjective. Difficult. A diamond is very hard. It's solid, firm. Another example of an adjective. Carpentry is hard work. What kind of work? Hard, because it requires much effort. So this is easy so far. Now, hard is tricky because it may also be an adverb with various meanings. For example, my students work very hard. How? Hard. Look, it's raining hard, which means heavily, with a lot of force or a lot of water coming down from the sky. So in these two examples, hard is an adverb because it answered the question, how, right? How does it rain? It rains hard. How do my students work? They work very hard, right? So hard, adjective and adverb. And then we have hardly, which has a totally different meaning. Hardly is an adverb with various meanings. I hardly sleep last night. I hardly slept last night, which means I didn't sleep very well. So hardly means not enough, or I got little sleep. Joe hardly worked today, which means he almost didn't work at all. So in both situations, he barely worked. Hardly means not enough or very little. And as you can see, hardly is very different in meaning from hard as an adjective and hard as an adverb. Another difference that we need to pay attention to is although and in spite of. Although is usually followed by a subject and a verb. Although it rained a lot, we went to the park. Although traffic was bad, we got to work on time. I didn't get the job, although I'm qualified for the position. In spite of is similar in meaning, but it's usually followed by a noun or pronoun and a verb in ing. For example, in spite of a noun, the rain, we went to the park. I didn't get the job in spite of being qualified. In spite of the traffic, I got to work on time. So the difference between although and in spite of is that with although we have a verb, of course with the subject. In spite of, we have just a noun or an ing verb. Okay, so for example, we can say I couldn't sleep although I was tired. We have a verb. Okay, but we can't say I couldn't sleep in spite of I was tired. No, in spite of being tired, or in spite of let's say exhaustion, because we need a noun. Okay, all right. Despite the bad traffic, I got to work on time. We can't say despite the traffic was bad, I got to work on time. That is incorrect. I would have to say despite the fact that the traffic was bad, I got to work on time. Okay, so these are very important nuances that you have to pay attention to, and the best way to observe them is in context, in very specific sentences. If you memorize the sentences and the meaning, you will make sure you have enough information to associate grammar with and to use it by association correctly in new sentences and new contexts. Though and although is very tricky because they're very, very similar in meaning, and the only difference is that though can occur at the beginning, middle, at the end of the sentence, so it can be placed in any part of the sentence, but although can occur just at the beginning or the middle, but never at the end of the sentence. I like this topic, but it's difficult though, right? So though it's at the end, but you can say, I love this fact, this grammar, but it's difficult, although. No, you have to place although either at the beginning or in the middle of the sentence. Although this topic is rather difficult, I still enjoy it, right? Or I still enjoy the topic, although it's pretty challenging or difficult. So other very small nuances, though is a conjunction and an adverb. Although is just a conjunction, it's not an adverb. Though is not as formal as the although. Although is more formal. So they could mean the same thing, but if you're writing an official essay, or if you are going to an interview, or if you are on stage performing, or if you're a guest in a TV show, you have to, of course, use formal English, and you will use more although than though. Though is more specific to everyday spoken English. And now I put together even a more challenging task. I selected a few examples taken from TOEFL, and I know that many students at your age are thinking about taking TOEFL, or have already started getting ready for TOEFL or Cambridge or other IELTS, for example, other standardized international exams. So let's see, are there any questions related to adverb clauses, including in the TOEFL exam? Of course there are. Getting the highest result in the class, John still had problems with the teacher. Despite of, in spite of, even though, nonetheless. A bit more difficult than the previous examples. So, which one is the right choice? Getting the highest result in the class, John still had problems with the teacher. In spite of getting the highest result in class, John still had problems with the teacher. So, in spite of, we have a noun or an ing verb. In our situation, getting is an ing verb. Air is composed about 78% nitrogen and only 21% oxygen is a little known fact on the street. So again, we have two sentences and we need to link them with the right connector. And the choice is between now that, when, and however. What do you think is the right connector in this particular sentence? That air is composed of about 78% nitrogen and only 21% oxygen is a little known fact on the streets. So the fact that is little known, right? That air is like this, it's known, right? Little known. He was seen to be an aggressive politician. He was a quiet and loving family man at home. Again, two sentences. How would you connect them? Although, despite, in spite of, nevertheless. He was seen to be an aggressive politician. He was a quiet and loving family man at home. What is the correct connector? Although he was seen to be an aggressive politician, he was a quiet and loving family man at home. Even though he was, right? Another one, although, even though. We could say, in spite of the fact that he was seen, or despite being an aggressive politician in public, he was a quiet and loving man at home. So we can use the other connectors, but we have to change the structure of the sentence, despite the fact, in spite of the fact that. The variable drops by a unit of 1, the rank drops by X amount. So this is taken from sciences. Which one is the correct connector? Why, whenever, how, and what? The variable drops by a unit of 1, the rank drops by X amount. Whenever the variable drops by a unit of 1, the rank drops by X amount. And now, the last example. This method is widely used. Algorithm is not only effective, but also very simple. Again, two sentences. Which is the right connector? Because it's, because of its. All right, and the correct answer is, have you figured it out? So the correct option is, this method is widely used because its algorithm is not only effective, but also very simple. Because it's. I know these examples might have been challenging for you, but they will definitely help you understand that adverb clauses can be very versatile, very complex, but at the same time they help us express some very interesting nuances of the English language. So practice them with confidence, watch today's lesson several times if you need more help with, and have a wonderful English, especially when it comes to grammar. Stay connected. There are so many more interesting grammar lessons in our digital library. All the best. Take care.